once again to Real Shame. It's a show where we watch movies that we haven't seen before from our list of shame and we review them for your viewing pleasure. I'm Adam.
I'm Andy.
And this week we have some movies that are going to be fun for us to review. But before we do that, we always like to talk about what we've been watching. So, Andy, what have you been watching?
So, not too long ago, we reviewed a documentary about Robert Crumb called Crumb.
Yep.
For no reason whatsoever, I watched the John Candy comedy Who's Harry Crumb from, I think, 1989.
Are they related?
They're not related.
Oh.
No, I don't know. I just was like, hey, Who's Harry Crumb? I'll watch that. That movie's not as funny as I remember.
Okay.
I actually barely laughed at all. I think it's one of John Candy's weaker vehicles. But anyway, your mileage may vary. I watched, I think it's Brandon Cronenberg's Possessor, right? David Cronenberg's kid.
I've been wanting to see this. I haven't had a chance to.
I think it's on Hulu. I stumbled on it after watching something else. I was like, oh, hey, Possessor's on Hulu. It's very stylish, and I know it's getting a lot of praise, and I wouldn't say it's bad, but I thought it was kind of slow.
Okay.
But I mean, again, visually pretty compelling, and I mean, it's definitely kind of a cool movie. It has a cool aesthetic, but I wasn't just over the moon about it. I think it's decent. It was worth a watch, but I wasn't just crazy about it.
Yeah, I like you. I've heard a lot of good things about it. I think one of the things they praised a lot were the in-camera effects.
Mm-hmm.
Said it was really cool. And I think people that watch this know I'm a big David Cronenberg fan, his father.
Yeah.
And it seems like Brandon's kind of followed a little bit in his father's footsteps. So I actually haven't seen the other movie he did. So I haven't seen any of Brandon Cronenberg's movies.
I haven't seen the other one either. I don't even remember what the name of it was.
Yeah, me either. All right, what else?
So the other movie that I watched before Possessor, also I believe on Hulu, was Antebellum with Janelle Monáe.
Yep.
And I know. So after I actually kind of liked it. I after it was over, I read reviews, and I had heard that a lot of people considered it a big disappointment.
Mm-hmm.
And I was reading a lot of stuff on IMDb, and a lot of people were upset. It seems like because they felt like the trailer promised one type of movie, and it was a completely different type of movie. But I mean, sorry. I mean, if you see a trailer and it promises one thing and then the movie delivers another, I mean, I guess I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. I mean, I saw the trailer for it. I didn't really have a lot of expectations for it either way. It's not amazing, and there's definitely some sluggish parts in the movie. And I wouldn't say it's not something that you can't maybe figure out what's going on, but I still thought it was pretty. Once again, kind of like Possessor, it was pretty visually compelling. And Janelle Monáe, I think, is a good actress as well as a good musician, and I think she does a good performance in this movie. But I actually liked it overall. Maybe because I had just zero expectations. Maybe if I was one of those people that was like, "Hey, that's not what the trailer showed," or something, or I might have been like, "No, this sucks." But I kind of liked it. I thought it was pretty decent.
I did not know Janelle Monáe was a musician.
Yes, yeah, she's a very good musician, actually.
Wow.
But yeah, so that's what I've been watching. What have you been watching?
Yeah. So I was gonna say something on Antebellum, but it totally left my brain. No worries. It wasn't anything really important.
Okay.
What I've been watching. So I was scrolling through the Netflix as you do, and I came across this movie that looked pretty cool, and it's called The Take. It has Richard Madden, as you remember him from Game of Thrones, King of the North, and Idris Elba, who I always love. Have you heard of this movie?
I think I've seen like the poster or something. Yeah.
It was actually pretty good. There's some plot stuff that doesn't necessarily hold up. I would put it in the same kind of vein as like Safe House with Ryan Reynolds and Denzel Washington. Yeah. Like it's like a fun, actiony, kind of light, kind of not light kind of movie. I guess apparently it takes place in France, and it came out around the time that the bombing happened in France. Okay. So the movie was kind of like buried a little bit, because the movie has a bomb in it and all that kind of stuff kind of taking place. So I understand why that happened, but it flew way under the radar for me. I've never heard of it until I saw it on Netflix. But I give this a really fun recommendation. If you're looking for fun actiony kind of movie, I would say it delivers on that for sure.
I see.
And then I don't know if you get this, but are you getting like movie like and when you watch YouTube, are you getting movies as like the up next kind of thing to watch? Like
Sometimes, yeah, I think so. Yeah.
So I had one that come up, and it was about Muscle Shoals, which is a city in Alabama that has like a famous recording studio. Actually, two famous recording studios. One's called Fame, and they recorded a lot of hits there, and all that. Are you familiar with Muscle Shoals, Fame, and all that kind of stuff?
Muscle Shoals, yeah, but not Fame.
So it kind of goes in the history of that a little bit, and it was a really good music documentary. I kind of enjoyed it, and it was solid. Solid for what it did. So I approve of that too. Approve of this message. And the last thing I'm going to cover, I'm kind of all over the map with what I've been watching, is the Zack Snyder Zack Snyder Cut Justice League, I believe is the official title. It's coming out here pretty soon. And so I decided to dip my toe back into the DCEU, the Zack Snyder universe, whatever we're calling it these days. Mm-hmm. And I watched Man of Steel, Batman vs. Superman, and Aquaman. Man of Steel, I'm liking more than I initially did. There's still fundamental parts of it that I hate in the movie, mostly around what happens to Paul Kent. That drives me crazy. And the fact that I'm over Zod as a villain. So that kind of drove me nuts. Batman vs. Superman is, it's rough.
Did you watch the extended cut?
Yeah.
It's like 3 hours. Okay.
Yeah, we watched the extended cut of that. Yeah, it's just, it's rough. I liked the movie more when I saw it in theaters. I think I've definitely cooled on it a whole bunch than that. And then watch Aquaman, which I remember being a lot of fun in the theaters. And in this one, I'm just like, oh my gosh, this movie is just weird and crazy, and it wasn't as much fun. So, so I guess you could tell where I am with the DC movies and how much I'm looking forward to Zack Snyder's Justice League. But I wanted to kind of get those more fresh in my mind before I watch that. Any notes on those movies you want to say?
No, I'm not touching the DC movies. No.
All right. So that's what we've been watching. Let's get into our featured review, and that's going to be
The Quiet Man from 1952. So Sean Thornton returns to the Ireland where he was born in order to purchase his childhood home. When he gets there, he quickly falls for fiery Mary-Kate Danaher, but his efforts to court and marry her are impeded by her angry older brother Will in The Quiet Man.
Well now, the banns having been read, and no man objecting, I'm permitting this man to court my sister. But under the usual conditions. Mr. Flynn, do you assume the full responsibility?
I do. And from now on, they'll do the walking and the talking under me own eyes.
Well then, let the courting commence.
Okay, none of that now, none of that. Hands to yourself on your own side of the road. Get on the other side of the car.
Up you go.
So The Quiet Man was directed by John Ford. It stars John Wayne as Sean Thornton. John Ford and John Wayne made quite a few movies together. Maureen O'Hara plays Mary-Kate Danaher, who is the object of John Wayne's affection. It's also got people like Ward Bond. He's in a lot of movies, but he's in It's a Wonderful Life. Yeah. Barry Fitzgerald plays Mickalene. Victor McLaughlin plays Mary-Kate Danaher's brother, Will Danaher. and he is in love with the old widow Mildred Natwick. And John Ford even included his brother Francis Ford in this movie in a small role. It is based on a Saturday Evening Post short story, which I think came out in 1933. So it took a bit for the movie to come out. But the movie was shot in Ireland. John Ford wanted to make it in Ireland.
That's cool.
So they went to Ireland. I mean, obviously, if you watch the movie, there are definitely things that are shot on like a soundstage.
Yeah.
But they shot the majority of the movie in Ireland. And it's very lush and green, as Ireland is. But this is a movie that I have seen before. This is only the second time I've seen it.
I was gonna
Not
say
the third time. It's only the second time. But this movie that you've never seen.
I've never seen The Quiet Man. I've never seen a John Ford movie before this.
Have you ever seen the John Wayne movie?
That's a good question. I don't know. I don't think I have.
So this might have been the trifecta.
It's the trifecta. It's a hat trick of.
All right.
It's the real shame hat trick. Maybe
All right.
maybe we should come up with some kind of fun graphic.
And this came out at 52. I think it's also the same year as Singing in the Rain came out. Well, so they're both Technicolor movies, which I love Technicolor stuff because it's kind of artificial looking, but it looks cool to me.
It's all saturated and stuff.
Yeah.
I like it. Yeah.
It looks like Mary-Kate Danhurst's red hair is like really red.
Yeah. And the greens are
Really green. So give us a little thoughts on your take on The Quiet Man.
Yeah. So like I said, first kind of John Ford movie. Probably first John Wayne movie. I overall like this movie. I wish I kind of knew about more of the Irish customs going into it. Mm-hmm. I think that would have made for a more fuller experience because, in watching it now and not knowing much about the culture, and I mean, I'm assuming the things that are happening with, and when I say that, I'm talking about like the courting rituals and stuff like that. I'm assuming those are accurate and to the time or to whenever the movie came out. So I think kind of knowing that a little bit more would have made the movie a little bit fuller, or if they kind of explained it a little bit more to John Wayne as he was doing it. They kind of hint at it a little bit, but they kind of just leave him to bumble around and kind of figure it out and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I'm trying to I think John Wayne's good in it. I'm trying to figure out if the movie would be better without John Wayne, because for me, it's hard to picture him not as like cowboy John Wayne, right? The Duke, right?
Yeah.
I don't know much about his resume and the movies he's done, so I don't know if he's done a lot of non-cowboy movies. So I don't know if I'm the only one that kind of only sees him the cowboy, or if that's...
No, I mean, I definitely think he's definitely mostly known as like a cowboy actor, and I'm pretty sure that's the majority of the films that he did. He was a cowboy. Yeah, this is a kind of a departure for him. Yeah.
But so I mean, I don't think he distracts from the movie, but I do think maybe the movie would have been a little bit better in my eyes, better for me, if I wasn't always like, oh yeah, that's John Wayne, that's the Duke and stuff like that, right? Because as soon as he talks, you're like, okay, that's
John Wayne, yeah.
John Wayne, right? But my question is he really a quiet man? I mean, he talks a lot. He's quiet about his past, maybe.
Yeah, I think that's it.
Yeah.
He's kind of reticent to talk about his past, but yeah.
I like the story. I like the idea of it and stuff like that. And I like how, like, I mean, we're spoiling it, but, that's what we do in these things is, he's basically, in this town, he's trying to, he grew up in the States, but he's moving back to where his family comes from and buying the house that they kind of raised in or grew up in and stuff like that. And then he's basically at odds with this girl who he likes, or he marries, I guess, brother, and he just wants to fight. And this dude's like, John Wayne's like, I'm not going to fight you. Yeah. And we learn that the reason why he doesn't want to fight is because he killed a man.
Yeah, because he's an ex-boxer.
He's an ex-boxer. Yeah. And then, some people clue on, like the pastor or priest kind of clues into it and stuff like that. So there's some cool stuff like that. So I like that. I like that kind of story and stuff. So, like I said, I thought it was a good movie, and I really enjoyed it. Second time watching it. What do you think about it?
I feel about the same time. I feel about the same as when I watched it the first time. I also like this movie. I don't love it. It's regarded as a classic, and that's fine. I think it's good. Yeah. I'm not, again, I think I've already used this phrase once this show, but I'm not over the moon about it. I have a few problems with some of the pacing of it. I like pretty much the whole first hour or something. It's about 2 hours, I think, a little over 2 hours. I like the first hour of it, which is kind of him coming to Ireland, meeting Mary-Kate, falling in love with her. They kind of have a back and forth. He has a back and forth with the brother. The brother's angry because the brother wanted to buy his John Wayne's old childhood home, and John Wayne got to it before, or, was able to buy it before he did. So he's pissed about that. He's pissed about the fact that John Wayne is trying to woo his sister. But I love all the colorful characters. I love the Michelin character, who's like the local matchmaker, played by Barry Fitzgerald, and he's the one who's responsible for. Well, he rides around in the little buggy, and John Wayne has to sit on one side, and Maureen O'Hara has to sit on the other side. They're not allowed to sit together, and he has to kind of watch over them as they court.
Make sure they don't get handsy.
Make sure they don't get handsy until, of course, he lets them go for a little bit, and then they run away from him. But I also love the fact that after they run away from him, his horse leads him to the bar and just stops and kind of nods, and he's like, "Oh, you know where I'm going. You know what I like." But I like all that stuff. Once again, it's kind of, he comes to this stranger in a strange land, maybe sort of thing. He comes to this Ireland, which he doesn't really know. I mean, he hasn't been there since he was a kid or whatever. And he's haunted by his past, but he meets all these really kind of fun, colorful characters. So I like all of that stuff. I like his interaction with Mary-Kate Danaher. They have like a horse race kind of thing going on.
Yeah, where they pick up the bonnets or hats. Yeah.
But it's kind of like once they get married that I feel like it slows down. And she's just kind of has like, I need my dowry. And he's like, oh, you don't need your dowry. And I don't know about you, but he manhandles her quite a bit in this film. Which made me uncomfortable.
I figured that was for the time, but I understand.
It is, but looking at it now, I'm like, wow, he's really. I mean, she also kind of slaps at him and kind of beats on him. And stuff,
she's rough too. But
he slings her around quite a bit. I was like, oh, that's.
No, it does, and there's no excuse for that. But she's also very difficult to deal with, and it's it's one of those things that's just like. Dude, you just need to talk. Just talk and figure it out. He doesn't have some sympathy that he doesn't come from the customs, so he doesn't understand that the dowry means that much to you and that all your furniture means that much to you. So, give him a bone and let him know. And then also it's dude, get out of your own way and understand, you have to understand how this culture works. Ask some questions and stuff like that. So there's a lot, I think, to your point, in the second half, it does kind of slow down because there's a lot of tension between them, and it just feels like it starts and stops and starts and stops and doesn't really.
Because it just kind of goes on to me.
And then we have the last third of it is what I dubbed the they live fight.
Yes, which I do like that part. So you kind of got that section that drags with the whole I need my dowry and this, that, and the other thing, and then but once the fight, it's just funny because. They all start fighting, and the old guy that's dying in his bed gets excited and gets out, and he's like, he's got to see the fight, It's really funny. There's enough in this movie, I think, that's really, really wonderful. I do think, once again, because they shot it in Ireland, it has some really, really great shots. It has some really, really great cinematography. It was nominated for Best Cinematography Color, because they made the distinction between color and black and white, and it actually did win for Best Cinematography. But I like all that stuff. I love the part when he does go to his childhood home, and Mary-Kate Danaher has been in there kind of cleaning up and whatnot, and she kind of runs out, and the wind is blowing, and he grabs her and kisses her and everything. It's like a really cool scene. So there's a lot of good stuff like that in there. I do think the flashback to when he killed the guy in the boxing ring looks really silly. It's very heavy-handed and very melodramatic. I understand that you see the guy that he killed down on the mat and they put a sheet over him and everyone's just kind of staring. It's just really, really melodramatic. I feel like they felt like they needed to, or John Ford, I guess, felt like he needed to drive that home to the audience. He killed a man in the ring, but I feel like that part just looks really silly to me. Yeah. I was like, okay.
I just chalked that up to this is of its time.
Yeah, I think so. But that in the context of the rest of the film just looks bizarre to me. Yeah. Although I get it. I understand why it's in there. But I like this film. You like this film?
Yeah, I like this film. I want to echo what you said with the cinematography and earlier. I think the thing that stands out to me the most is how pretty and how gorgeous it is. With the Irish scenery, and I even like the stuff they did on stage with the carriage and they have the screens behind them and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. Even though you could tell how they shot that and all that stuff, it still looked kind of pretty and all that kind of stuff. So and all the huts and everything. I don't think, maybe they're not huts, maybe cottages or whatever.
Yeah.
The houses and stuff looked really cool. So yeah, I've never been to Ireland, and it's just like, man, I hope it looks like that. That's awesome looking.
Yeah. Technicolor Ireland.
Technicolor Ireland.
Alrighty.
All right, what did critics say about this?
They it's 91% fresh on Rotten Tomatoes, 91% audience score. No Siskel or Ebert review that I could find. Malton gives it 4 stars. In addition to being nominated for Best Cinematography, Color, and it won that, as I said, it was nominated for Best Art Direction, Color, Best Sound, Best Screenplay, Best Supporting Actor for Victor McLaglen, Best Picture. The only other award that it actually won, though, was for Best Director, John Ford. So it won 2 Academy Awards out of all the ones that it was nominated for.
I was expecting you to say Best Sound Color.
Best Sound Color.
Because you're
yes.
like Best Art Direction Color.
Yes.
Best Cinematography Color.
Right.
Best Sound Color. I was like, what?
No, Best Sound Color. But yeah, it won Best Cinematography Color, Best Director for John Ford.
That's great. So what did you
stuff.
decide to pair this movie with?
So I kind of thought, I was like, this is a John Ford movie, so I thought we could do another John Ford movie. It's a John Wayne movie. I thought we could do another John Wayne movie. I thought we could do another John Ford or John Wayne movie. But I scrapped all of those and decided, let's just keep it in Ireland.
Yep.
So I chose another Irish film that was a big blockbuster, worldwide kind of hit back in 1998 called Waking Ned Devine, or Waking Ned if you saw it outside of North America. It was only known as Waking Ned Devine here in North America. So that's what we're going to talk about next time.
All right.
Another Irish film.
Can't wait to dig into that.
Yes.
All right, guys. Well, if you've seen The Quiet Man, let us know what you think. If you're watching us YouTube, leave a comment down below. If you're watching us, well, that's the only place you can watch us. But if you're listening to us too on your podcasting app or whatever, shoot us an email, realshame@gmail.com. That's where we answer viewers' questions too. So if you have a question you want us to answer on air, shoot us an email or leave a comment below. We would appreciate that. And please like, subscribe, share, leave reviews, and all that kind of stuff, because that does help spread the word of the podcast, and we really do appreciate that. And stay tuned to Wednesday's episode when we dig into another movie that I haven't seen, so we're going to cross another one off my list of shame. And we'll see you soon, guys. Bye.